And for more on what could happen on Tuesday, let's go to Andrew Stein. He's the former president of the New York City Council, a former New York assemblyman, and chairman of Democrats for Trump and a longtime Jewish community leader. So, Mr. Stein, the prime minister dropping some bombshells the past couple of days, saying he will annex Jewish settlements in the West Bank, and in a Friday interview said bluntly, quote, "There will be no Palestinian state." Do you think this is a Hail Mary in a close race, or is he really reaffirming the tough stances that Mr. Netanyahu is known for?
Well, first of all, I think that Bibi's going to win the election tomorrow, and I think he stated what a lot of Israelis feel, that for security reasons they need the Golan Heights, and President Trump has been so fantastic in his support of Israel, whether it's annexing the Golan Heights or moving. You know, presidents have been talking for years about moving recognizing Jerusalem as the capital, and the president did it. So I think Bibi's going to win. It's going to be a close election. But Eric, what gets me so angry is that the Democratic Party now is not a pro-Israeli party, and the president has the best record ever of any president on his moves on Israel. So I would hope that a lot of American Jews, instead of voting 70-odd% for the Democrats, start voting for a guy who has stood up for Israel and been the best president that we've ever had, well, in terms of his support for Israel.
Many Democrats would take issue with what you just said, with a couple of exceptions who have come under a recent controversy, one having apologized. But at the same time, what we just saw in Trey Yank's report is that the prime minister is certainly using his friendship with the president very closely in ads, as well as speaking about it in terms of what the president has done. Do you think that could be a tipping point? The relationship between Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump, that could be the 1 point or half a point that could actually make a difference.
I think it will be. I think the United States support of Israel is so important, and under under Netanyahu, they have had such an incredible relationship, and I think the fact that the president just supported the annexation of the Golan and moving the embassy to Jerusalem, I think that strengthens Netanyahu's hand a lot in this election.
And you know, the president yesterday was pretty diplomatic. Here's what he said when he was giving a speech. He didn't endorse either one, but here's his comments.
Benjamin Netanyahu. How is the race going, by the way? How is it? Who's going to win the race? Tell me. I don't know. Well, it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close. Two good people. Two good people.
Two good people talking about Benny Gantz and the prime minister. And finally, Mr. Stein, of course, we've had major leaders of countries, Churchill and FDR, those who've been so associated with their nation. Benjamin Netanyahu, certainly in several terms as prime minister, this would be his 5th term. A couple of years ago, I interviewed him about the killing of his brother, Yoni, during the raid on Entebbe. He was very reflective and emotional and clearly showed his view that he has suffered the personal pain of his nation, that his countrymen have gone through. Listen to the soundbite from my interview with the prime minister about what he's gone through when he talks to families of soldiers who have been killed.
I have to say that this was clearly the most difficult moment in my life. I've had quite a few, but nothing like this. When I talk to the bereaved families and bereaved parents of Israeli soldiers who fall while defending this country, I tell them about this. I don't speak to them as a prime minister. I speak to them as part of that same larger bereaved family.
He is so identified with his nation. You finally expect, as you say, that he will pull it out.
Well, you know, his brother Jonathan was the only Israeli soldier killed at Entebbe. And I think he's a great patriot, Netanyahu. Certainly not perfect, but I think he's going to win. And I think his close relationship with President Trump really helps him a lot, because he's gotten results that few other prime ministers have had in his policy with the United States. So I think that the fact that President Trump has delivered for Israel should make a lot of American Jews and Israelis support Netanyahu.
All right, we see what happens on Tuesday. Andrew Stein in Los Angeles today for us.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks for joining us, of course.